Welcome everybody to our first virtual lunch. It seems like we've had more than our share of firsts this year, and we're so glad to have you join us and be with us. And our three speakers are with us, and so Gerhard continues to work his miracles. We're again, welcome to everybody, and I'm sure there'll be more joining us. And we especially want to, at this time, turn the time over to Joan, and we'll get started. Thanks again.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first virtual luncheon. I hope you're having a lot of good food at home, and I'm so grateful that you're joining us. I want you to be able to see where your money went. You gave us last year for scholarships. It's very important to me that you meet the people that you scholarship. Today I wear two hats. I usually wear two hats, but one of those hats is I am the chairperson of the long trips for ElderQuest. And I need to talk about those for just a moment. At the moment, we have 37 people on our Hill Cumorah trip. We have decided to cap it off at 48. So that means we're only going to take 8 more people. So if you're interested in going to the Hill Cumorah, I really urge you to get your money in this week. 9 people came in this week. So we're going to see the Hill Cumorah pageant and tour upstate New York. Upstate New York is absolutely stunningly beautiful. I don't know how anybody ever left there. It is so gorgeous. But we're taking you to Niagara Falls. We're going to Seneca Falls, where the women's movement started. There's the Women's Hall of Fame, as well as the Women's Museum. You're going to go to Kirtland and see all of the church historical sites in Kirtland, Kirtland, Ohio. Then you're going to be in Palmyra, New York, and see all of those sites, as well as the Hill Cumorah pageant. And this is the last year for that pageant. And then you're going to Susquehanna County in Pennsylvania and see where the priesthood was restored. So definitely a church history tour, but as long as you're there, I think you should see the history of where all of these people were at that time. So we want you to see the 5 Finger Lakes. We want you to see the Corning Glass Museum, which is worldwide known. Their museum is one of the finest. And we want you to just immerse yourself in church history and upstate New York. Our second trip that I'm talking about is the Southern Utah trip, which goes down to Cedar City for the Shakespeare Festival and the Simon Fest. You have a choice there of seeing 5 shows. 2 of them we chose for you. The other 3 you get to pick. And so we give you a list of those shows and what they're all about, and then you can choose the other 3. But who wouldn't want to see the Shakespeare Festival and the Simon Fest? And along with that, we're going to take you to Kolob Canyon and over to Nevada to see the Cathedral State Park there. These are magnificent, wonderful natural things. The Pirates of Penzance is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in my entire life. You will laugh. You will laugh. Ragtime, the musical, was a Tony nominee. It is a winner. It is an incredible story. It's based on fact. And I think when you see it, you'll know what those facts were. And it will impact you. And then the one other show that we have chosen for you is Death Trap. I think it's one of the best constructed musicals I have ever seen. I've directed it. It played for 6 years on Broadway. I saw it every single year, and the cast stayed with it. This itself is a miracle. So I wanted you to know about that. You need to get your money in for these trips. So please make sure that you do that. I was delighted yesterday to hear that the vaccine for the COVID is close. They think that by the middle of December or January, they will have it. And that is going to make a huge change in all of our lives. My second hat, and the most important hat today, is that of being the chairperson of the scholarship committee. Your scholarship committee works all year long to make sure that those that deserve and need this money will receive this money. They're tireless, and they are an incredible group of 5 people. It consists of myself, Terry who is the chairperson, Dave Johnson, who's going to be speaking to you today. Uh, as I lose my mind. Bonnie Harmon, and then as I look for the other name, Kent Larkin. And Kent is recovering from COVID. He's doing very, very well at this moment. So now here is Dave Johnson to speak to you about what the scholarship committee.
Thank you, Joan. Obviously, we're not a real well-known committee within ElderQuest, but we feel like it's a rather important one, and it's not one that we take lightly. Our first job usually starts shortly after the spring seminar, when we find out how much money has been donated by you people and what kind of funds we have to work with. Then the university forwards to us a list of people who have applied for the scholarships and who fall within the guidelines which we have set up for the ElderQuest scholarship. One of those being that they're alternate students. They're not freshmen that have just come out of high school. They've been in university. They're having a good grade point average, and we give preference to those who are taking care of family. So as we read through these scholarship applications, of course, we have no idea who the person is. We don't know if they're men or they're women, unless they happen to slip that into their application. We know nothing about them other than what they tell us. And we read through those, and you might think that we meet as a committee and we look at one and then we give it a rubber stamp and say yes or no. That's not how it works. Each one of us takes the list and we go through, and each of us comes up with a list of those we feel are the most deserving of our scholarships. And then we get together and we compare notes. We never talk about them individually with each other. We don't talk with other people about it. We simply go with what we see and what our hearts tell us probably would help them the most. It is interesting when we do compare notes on them. Rarely do we ever have two people that are exactly the same. Some of us find that our number one pick is quite a ways down the list on somebody else's pick. And we get together and finally we work it out till we come up with a final list, which we then turn to the university, and then they finish the process of awarding the scholarships to a number of people as far as our funds go. The most common things that we say to each other is we wish we had enough money to fund all of the people who apply for scholarships, because undoubtedly every one of them has a need, and we wish we had the kind of financial backing that would allow us to take care of everybody. We also often think how wonderful it would be if all of you, as members of ElderQuest and your friends, could understand how important these people are, and if you could read these applications, you would also be feeling the same thing that we do. We hold it a great honor that you have allowed us to, in a way, be stewards of your scholarship funds, and we do feel like we take a great deal of care in making sure that we are good stewards and that we're trying to help as many people as we can. And we do thank you for your donations. Your generous donations go so far in helping others that I don't know of any kind of a donation that you can make for so much. Every single penny that you donate goes toward the scholarship program. The university does not take a cut. ElderQuest does not take any cut. And we as volunteers on the committee are certainly not going to take any cut. We are happy to donate all that we can as well. And we realize that ElderQuest people are not wealthy people. You don't have several $1,000,000 usually to just sign off and say that's a good way to spend my money. You are squeezing out money you probably would use otherwise. And so we thank you for your generosity and for the care and the concern that you have for students, because that's where we can make the biggest difference in our society. And we thank you, and we look forward to working with you throughout the years.
Thank you, Dave. You always are inspiring. You're such a wonderful member of the committee. And I am blessed to have 4 incredible people that give so much time, so much effort, and so much care to making sure that your money goes to the very best candidates we can find. And now I want to introduce you to another member of our committee, Terry Ann Harwood, who is vice chairperson. And she is going to introduce you to 3 of our 6 scholarship winners today. Terry Ann.
Thank you, Joan. I just have to say, as a former student of UVU and a former recipient of a scholarship, not ElderQuest scholarship, but a scholarship, it makes such a difference to a family and their income and their education to receive a scholarship and to be able to continue your education. For me and my family, it was a world of wonder to be able to continue and learn so much and go on to get my degree. I can't say how much it contributed to my family. Today we are going to hear from 3 of our 6 non-traditional students who have received the ElderQuest Scholarship. The first one that will speak is Deanne Baker. The second one is Kindy Richards. And the third one is Savannah Young. And I am so appreciative of them taking time out of their schedules to come talk with us. I will let you just go ahead and speak in the order that we've listed. And just be sure and turn on your mic. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I just feel very honored to be here. And I'll try to keep my emotion held back a little bit. But I will second what Terry Ann said, that the help that it gives to our family is immense. And so very appreciative, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. So first of all, I have a couple of pictures that I think Gerard is going to share for me. This is my cute family. I have 6 kids. I've been married for 26 years. And this picture just depicts exactly who we are. We just have fun, we laugh, we play, and it is chaos much of the time, but we just enjoy being together and being part of each other's lives. So, and then the next one, this is our most recent picture. Happened right before we had kids leave for out on their own, doing things that they're going to do in their own lives. But this just took place, I feel like it was yesterday, but it was really in January. So that's our most recent. And then our next one, this one might be my favorite. So in 2014, my husband finished his bachelor's degree at UVU. And then he went on to finish his master's degree at BYU as well. My son that's sitting right next to me, he has his associates from UVU, but he is on a deferment right now because he's in the Air Force. So he'll be back to school next fall. My next son is also has his associate's degree, and he is in school right now with me. Then my next oldest daughter, she has her associate's degree from UVU, and she is serving an LDS mission right now in Texas. So she'll be back in a year and a half, back to UVU. And then my next daughter, she is a senior in high school, and she attends UCAS, which is part of UVU's campus. And so in May, she'll also have her associate's degree as well. So we've got a history with UVU. It's a place that our heart holds a place for UVU, and it's been really fun. I've been to school with my kids. They have walked me to class. They have carried my backpack. They have taught me technology. And anyway, so it's just been a great experience with our whole family. And I've said we've all been in school for about 7 years. So it's a big sacrifice that we've all been doing this as a family for the last 7 years. So, and that's just my kiddos. So anyway, so on to my journey. I started back to school in the fall of 2016 and really thought that I had bitten off more than I could chew. I started with a math class that was 6 credits at 7 a.m., 4 days a week. And before that class, I would take care of my hospice patients and then go straight to school. So I have worked throughout my time going to school. I have a passion for hospice care. I had the opportunity to take care of my father-in-law in his last few months, and it just grew on my heart. And that's where I knew I needed to be. And so I've been a CNA for almost 10 years, and I just love that job, but I knew that there was going to come a time when I couldn't physically do that anymore. And so I needed to find out a way to keep my foot in that path and on that journey with these families. So I started school and I applied for the social work program, and I just started that a year ago, and I am set to graduate in May. In the meantime, I am also involved right now with my internship at the Division of Child and Family Services, and I have come to love that as well. I have had the opportunity to work with a couple of pregnant moms that, well, they just gave birth to babies that are addicted to drugs. And it's been my pleasure to be able to help them through the process of getting clean and working through the things that they can do to get their baby back. I feel like we don't have enough community input, community resources for them. And so there's some programs that are set up, but I hope to be able to implement those a little bit more, bring some community awareness and some help to these moms. Because again, I think family is most important. That's my foundation for my schooling. But again, I think my biggest thing is hospice care. I love to meet with those families and with the patients, and I have made some long-term friends in that setting. It has been a blessing that I haven't had to stack my plate and work as extensively because I was able to receive the scholarship. That took a lot of burden off of my family and has given me some time and effort to put effort back into my schooling. And I am on track to graduate with 4.0. I am excited to be part of Phi Theta Kappa and graduate with honors. So I just feel like it's given me the time and the energy to put that towards my schooling. So it's just extremely heartwarming, and I'm just full of gratitude for the opportunity. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story. I'm going to try to follow that. But unlike you, I probably won't be able to contain my emotions. So my name's Kindy Mortensen. I have been married for almost 15 years. My husband and I share 2 kids. I've got a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old girl. And I just want to make sure, can you hear me? Yes, okay. So after Dave talked about how they did the process of picking people who would get the scholarships, I feel even more honored now because I didn't know the process that went through. But I'll just tell you a little bit more about me. I'm I'm also a first generational student. Some of my siblings have gotten their associates, but neither of my parents attended college, grandparents, and so on. My mom never even graduated from high school, and it just wasn't talked about in our home to go to college. It wasn't something that, it wasn't, what are you going to do after high school? It was, at that point, I had already been working since I was like 8 years old, bringing in my own income. And when I was about 14, I was basically working full time. And I just, it was doing what you could to bring in an income. And I just didn't really, never, it's kind of crazy to think about, but college never crossed my mind. It just wasn't something that I ever seen for myself or even dreamed about or even considered, just because it wasn't something that, it was really valued in my home, because it just seemed like it was so far-fetched for any of us. I come from like his, hers, and ours. My parents were divorced and remarried and divorced and remarried. And finally I got a family of, there's 13 siblings. And, we grew up in a one bath, 3-bedroom home with, but like our house was definitely full of love. We definitely had a lot of love, but it just, education wasn't one of them. I think I graduated high school with like a 1.96 GPA, which is almost impossible to get. Like you have to try really hard to get that bad of a GPA, I think. But then I married my husband, and I thought it was really incredible because his whole family, they all had at least a bachelor's, if not a master's. And that was his siblings, his parents, his grandparents. And it was just so different from what I experienced. And I actually got a decent job out of high school, but I've always been really close to, I had a friend that was born with Down syndrome, and I was always really close to her. And when I was 8, I started to take care of my aunt who was born with cerebral palsy. And I actually was a main caretaker of her from the time I was about 8 to 15. And I would take care of her for 4 days a week from like 6 p.m. till 8 in the morning. And when I met my husband, his dad was a support coordinator for people with disabilities. And sometimes I would go with him into his office and get to see his clients. And it was just really heartwarming because I've always felt close to people with disabilities. And a few years ago, so back in like 2015, my father-in-law had approached me because he was wanting to retire. And at that point, my husband had actually started doing that as well. And he just said, what would you think about going to school? Like, I think you'd be really good at this. I think you could, you love you love people with disabilities and they love you. And I think you'd be really good. And I was just like, I'm old, or I felt old, I can't start school now. And I have a little baby. And I was just like, my son will be 9 when I graduate. If I'm like, I can't, that just was too much. But then I really thought about it and prayed about it. And I knew that it was what I needed to do for my family, because I wanted to be that example for my kids so that they knew how important school was too, because I didn't have that example. And although my husband's been a really good example, I think it just makes a difference to have 2 people in the home that have had a degree and can push for it. And kind of a funny little side note was just a couple weeks ago, my husband sat down and was teaching my son long division. And I sat down with my son and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I have never seen this before. And like, I just felt kind of sad that like my husband is teaching me and my 9-year-old son long division. And I was just thinking, I made it through all those years of like nobody recognizing that, I was failing because I didn't have that help and that thing. And So I do hope that I can help part of like a scholarship as I get older and more into my career, that I can help others, and especially just being aware, because when I realized that I didn't even know how to do a basic concept like that, it's like, it really made me sad to think that nobody recognized that this little girl went through this whole thing not knowing, how to do this. But I think that's the biggest thing for the scholarship for me, was recognizing that somebody else was recognizing my hard work and effort. Because this last semester, I was like, I can't make it. Like, I thought it would be a sprint to the finish for me, and I would be just so elated that I have one more semester left. And it was gonna feel so good, and I'd have all this energy, but it wasn't. I was really, it's been an army crawl to get here, and it's been really hard and emotionally taken a toll. And to see that I received that scholarship, it kind of was that last like little motivation that I needed to be like, I can do this, and other people are counting on me to do this, and other people can see that I'm working hard and that I'm deserving of this. And so that was really neat. And so I just want to tell you guys all thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity for that.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just want to start off by saying that I am so grateful to be here, and so humbled too, like listening to Kindy's story and Deanne's story, and also, yeah, the application process. I had no idea what went into that. So I'm just so extremely grateful and humbled to be here right now. My name is Savannah Young, and I was going to start out kind of telling you where I come from a little bit, and then with what I plan to do in the future as well. So I actually was born and raised in Houston, Texas. And when I was in about middle school, like early middle school, I think it was like 6th grade or something, my parents divorced. And that left my mom as a single mom of 5 kids. And my parents had always struggled with debt, but then at the divorce, my mom actually acquired all of the debt. So it was even more so, my family was completely drowning in all kinds of debt. And I saw what that, sorry, hold on. I like have to not cry. I saw what that did to my family, and I was so determined to not let that be the case for me either. And so I graduated in 2013, and I was absolutely firm on the fact that I was not going to take out student loans. I was not going to take out debt, and I was not going to put myself in that position that my mom struggled with all her life. And still, she actually paid off her student loans about 3 months ago. And I was determined not to do that again. And so when I graduated, it was a struggle for me to take off semesters all the time so I could earn up enough money to pay in full every semester that I went to, or I would be going to school for only 1 or 2 classes part-time. That way I could work full-time or work overtime and try to earn up enough money as I was doing school. And it was just this constant balance of like, how many classes or semesters can I take on and afford it and not. It just was a system that was not working for me. I was completely drowning in being overwhelmed and the workload. And I was at U of H, which was like, it was like $15,000 a semester or something. And I was doing horribly in all my classes, and I was feeling like I was almost failing out. Like this just was not a sustainable way for me to go. And so I really had prayed hard at the time, and I didn't know what to do. Like, was I just going to drop out of college forever? I really valued an education, and especially seeing my parents after the divorce, I really felt as if I needed a plan for myself long term. I needed to be independent myself, no matter what happened. And so I really felt the need to move to Utah. Didn't really know why at the time, but I did. And so I moved to Utah, and I started going to UVU, and I made the decision. I was like, if I am going to do school, I'm already sacrificing so much to do this. I'm not gonna do it halfway. Like, if I'm doing school, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to focus on it 100%. So I started upping my grades, getting all A's and everything. I have a 3.9 GPA now, which has been such a huge, such a huge like blessing, and something I kind of take pride in now because of U of H. It was definitely not that good. But it's because of ElderQuest and scholarships like this that I'm able to go to school full time, and I'm able to have a sustainable balance between workload and school load, and I don't have to burn myself out. So I actually, next semester is my last semester, and I'll be graduating. So it will have taken me 8 years of chugging along super slowly trying to make this happen. But after like 8 years, I will finally be graduated next semester. I just signed up for my last semester of classes last week. So it has been a huge blessing. And so I'm actually majoring right now in deaf studies, deaf, not death. A lot of people hear deaf study. It's deaf studies with an emphasis on interpreting. And I learned in my classes and again and again and again about this problem in the deaf community where hearing parents have a deaf child and they don't really know what to do. That's probably the deaf person they've only ever known in their entire lives, you know? So they might consult with a hearing doctor who might suggest hearing aids or something. But what happens is a lot of the times these parents won't teach their kids American Sign Language or ASL because they don't know it themselves. That's a huge thing to take on. They think, well, I'll just teach my kid lip reading or I'll teach them English. And that's not a realistic thing for every deaf child to achieve. So for some kids, it is easy to learn that, but some deaf kids just cannot. And so what happens is they grow up with no language whatsoever, complete language deprivation. And if you're a young child with no language at all until you're old enough to try and chug through, that can severely like inhibit your brain for the rest of your life and your language development for the rest of your life. And so as I was going through all these classes and learning about this problem again and again and again in every class, I realized that nothing was really being done about it. Like there were no solutions to it. This is still the case going on right now. Like hearing parents never have the opportunity to even talk with a deaf person and try and find out the best solution for their kids. And so I really decided that I wanted to use my degree to start a charity to educate these parents who have deaf children and connect them with the deaf community so they can get all the information they need and what's the best way to raise this child. So the tragedy of their kid growing up with absolute language deprivation will hopefully not happen anymore in the future. So there's 2 tests taken to be an interpreter. I've already passed one of them. The second one I will be taking next semester. And so hopefully after I graduate and I'll be able to pass my interpreting certification and I'll be able to start this charity to help out parents with their deaf children. So, and I'm just so thankful for all of you. Honestly, thank you so much because it really truly would not be possible at all. I would still be probably in like a sophomore chugging along if it wasn't for scholarships like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your comments. I'd like to share with you some of the comments that came in our chat room while you were speaking, all 3 of you. One says, thank you for sharing your story. Another one says, you are all so inspiring. Another one says, hearing stories of motivation inspires me. And another one says, I agree. Your stories are so inspiring. Keep going. We believe in you. It's wonderful to hear these stories. So we want you to know that we care. We are so grateful that you would come share with us, and we will keep trying to raise money to keep these scholarships going because we know how much it means to people, to these students. So thank you again. Joan, your turn.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry Ann. And thank you, the 3 of you. We are so grateful that you came today and that you spoke to us. You have no idea what it means. People in ElderQuest are 55 years old or older. So we are a lifelong learning organization. And we believe in people going back to college and getting a degree because many of us did that, including me. I didn't graduate from college until I was 32 years old. So I just decided one day I was going back and I was going to graduate. But I had scholarships, and those scholarships really helped me, which is why this scholarship is so, so important to me, because we truly want to help you, and we truly want to find the people that need help. Thank you, Vicki Hopper at UVU, for all that you do to help us with this program. We're very grateful to you. Terry Ann, Dave, Kent, Lark, and Bonnie, thank you for the endless hours of poring over these scholarship applications and ranking them. I now have the honor to introduce to you a very special person from ElderQuest and a very special friend. Her name is Flora Duncan. Next week, she will be 97 years old. She calls herself Maggie for short, for magnificent. So if they ask her how she is, she always says, I'm magnificent, and that's short for my name, Maggie. So she's 97. She is one of the original, the only living original founder of ElderQuest. It was founded in 1992. She was there. She also helped write our Constitution for ElderQuest. When I asked for volunteers for the very first scholarship committee back in 2006, Flora volunteered. And she served on the scholarship committee for many, many years. She has done something so magnificent for us that I want her to tell you what she's done. I don't want to tell you. This is the magnificent Maggie, or Flora Duncan, as we know her.
It's going to be a different kind of a talk, I guess, because over the years, I don't know if you've heard of annuities or not, but when I first started with the ElderQuest committee, I made a sizable contribution, an annuity, and every quarter, every 3 months, they give you a tax credit for your income, and then every 3 months, they give you a little dividend. And the last quarter, I've made enough donations that last quarter, my dividend was $760. Now, I guess I've got a little extra money, so I didn't know what to do with it. I decided I'd make another contribution. At my age, how long am I going to live? So they're not going to have to pay me a dividend very often, but they were gracious enough to accept my contribution, and at the end of December, I'll be receiving another dividend, and it will be a little more than it was last month or last quarter. Now, some people go to Las Vegas and put a little money in the machine hoping to get some back. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But I put my money in and I get something back every quarter. I don't know what better you can do with your money than to help somebody else. Still, get your dividend. Thank you.
What Flora did not tell you, but what I'm going to tell you, is that she has a $5,000 annuity that she bought, which is with UVU. And when she dies, which is unfortunate for us, but fortunate for the scholarship program, that $5,000 will become a part of our endowment fund. So she's making money on her annuity, as she points out, every quarter. But when she dies, the $5,000 will go to the ElderQuest Endowment Fund. And that will be there permanently and will earn interest for us so that we can scholarship other students. Flora has continually throughout the years contributed heavily to ElderQuest Scholarship Fund. I think it's one of her favorite charities. It really has to be. And for many of you, it is your favorite charity. ElderQuest started in 1992. So we've been going for some time. In 2002, I became the president, and I decided that we had to be more than we were. We had to be more than classes and luncheons. Well, I thought that was really important because it allows us to meet each other and socialize and learn, and learning is important to us. I thought that we needed to reach beyond that, and we needed to scholarship non-traditional students, older students that were going back to college to get a degree because they'd been divorced, they'd been widowed, their job no longer existed. Remember when Geneva Steel closed? All kinds of people needed to reinvent themselves after that. So these are people that are reinventing themselves, and we should help them do that. The board at that time was absolutely magnificent, and they could see into the future, and they wanted to help with this. And so we formed this incredible community of ElderQuest people that were dedicated to raising enough money that we could do scholarships. At that particular time, I talked to Nancy Smith, who was from UVU, and she said, well, Joan, you've got to have $30,000 to start your endowment fund. And I thought, oh my gosh, we'll never raise $30,000. There were only 99 people in ElderQuest at that point. But I decided that we could do this. We could do this. And we not only could, but we would. So we started raising money. And one of the things we did was to have an auction. And people donated Yardrobe figurines, beautiful paintings, handmade quilts, little giant ladders. We had an auctioneer. It was my son. And people bought, and we raised money. So from 2002 to 2007, we raised enough money for the endowment fund to be in place, and we could then, in 2007, start scholarshiping students. Now the money that you give us each year is used to scholarship students. Once in a while, when we have some left over, we put it in the endowment fund. And there are people along the way that give money to our endowment fund, and that helps us out as well. Last year, our endowment fund was $58,161. I have tried so hard to get you a new figure. You will never know how hard I've tried, but I haven't been able to do it. So I don't know what's in our endowment fund this year. I hope it's close to 60,000. But whatever there is, it guarantees that the scholarships will go on. Last year, we awarded $25,610 that you donated and scholarshiped 10 students. We give a 1 semester tuition and fees scholarship, and it's split into 2 semesters. They get 50% of it for the winter semester, 50% of it for the spring semester. So if they drop out before spring, and that has happened, the money goes back into our fund and we can use it again. So you see where your money goes when you donate to ElderQuest. We don't keep a penny of it, as Dave said. Neither does you keep a penny of it. Every single cent that comes into us, we use that money to scholarship students. We look at all these applications that come in, and the most we ever got was 256. I think that year we looked at it and just went, oh my gosh, can we take 256 down to 8? But we did. And we that year gave the 10 scholarships. This year, the scholarships are costing us $3,238. So that is an increase of $376 per person from last year. That is a huge, huge jump for us. So this year, we scholarshiped 6 students. And that was a total of $19,428. We have a balance left of $3,141, which is not quite enough to scholarship 1 student. But that money remains in our account, and we will use that money excuse me, we'll use that money to help us along our way for next year. At this point, we have scholarshiped 112 students. So in the past years, from 2007 to now, I think that's 13 years, we've scholarshiped 112 students. We have given $236,852 to students. That's you. That's our group. You should stand up and applaud yourself wherever you are, no matter what you're eating or no matter what you're doing. You should applaud yourselves. You deserve it. You have given and given and given, and you've met 3 of the people today that deserved your money and got your money. Please give. Please give. Write your checks or give us your email, give us your credit card, and we'll make your donation count, I guarantee you. Every year, we receive $5,000 from ElderQuest. And so in order to do that, we have to take in 5,000. So when you give 100, it becomes 200. So every time you give us $100, 200 is there. We need your money. We need your support. These students need you. Their families need you. Their children need you. Their families bless you. They will bless you for the rest of their lives. Their children will bless you because they will have so much better home. They too will get an education. Education begets education. As the one person that spoke to us today said, nobody in my family ever talked about education. That's true. She went on her own and found an education. We want to find those students that are looking on their own to find their education. We want to help them. We beg you. We implore you. Be generous. We need your money. They need your money. And this is a very worthy cause. And I can't think of a better place. Flora Duncan's right. I can't think of a better place to put your money. So please give. And thank you so much for spending your lunchtime with us today. ElderQuest is a blessing, not only to us as senior citizens, but to the students at UVU.
You want to mention the new way to donate?
I'm going to let you, I don't know how to do
Okay.
that.
A quick note. Thanks to Vicki Hopper, who made the arrangements for this, we now have the ability to make donations online directly at UVU into our scholarship fund. Each of you, members of the group, received an email 2 hours ago with a link in it that you can click on to donate directly to the scholarship fund online. For those of you that know how to use the chat, that link was also placed into the early chat and again here a few minutes ago, encouraging you to make a donation that way. That really improves our ability to handle things beyond doing it by mail as we've done in the past. So that's a great improvement. Thank you, Vicki, for making those arrangements.
Let me add one more thing. Vicki has also arranged for what they call a thank view video, which will be coming out to everybody, where several of the students share their thoughts about this scholarship. And it also includes a link that you can click on and give to. All right, Joan, back to you.
This is a PS. My money was sitting at the credit union with 0.0038 whatever percent, which is next to nothing, and I couldn't stand to have it there. So I wanted to put it where it would do some good.
Thank you all. You have a great afternoon. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, students, for sharing your stories with us. You have no idea how much they mean to us. Thank you and farewell.